Hi guys, welcome to Life in Village. Now in this session, we'll be discussing of something called arrays. Okay, what is an array? So the main reason of using of arrays is, so we are discussing of arrays. Okay, arrays are nothing but a collection of similar data type. Okay, now I have a kind of a program where I need to work out with same kind of data type, like all my variables should store integer type of value. Now for example, I'm going to have two variables like this, integer a, right, and another variable integer b. What happens if I say int a and int b in the memory system? So if I say int a and int b in the main memory, so for integer a, a memory of 2 bytes, which is equal to 16 bits, because 1 byte is equal to 8 bits, so you will be having 16 bits. So what happens means, for a, it allots 16 bits. Okay, 16 bits. 2 bytes means 16 bits. And even for int b, it allots the same memory of 16 bits. For a, 16 bits, and for b, both the variables, it allots the memory of 16 bits. Now for example, for a, for the value of a, right, I have used only in the 16 bits, only the 7 bits of memory for storing of my value a, right. So what happens to the rest? It is wastage. What about b? Coming to the b also, I have just used only 3 bits of memory to store my value in b, right. What happens to the rest from the 16? It is wastage, right. So in the wastage, I cannot re-allot the another integer value when I have declared the variables as an individual variables. So to overcome this concept, I have some concept called arrays. So what this arrays will do? So I'm going to give only one name to store my value of a as well as b, and I'm going to define this as of type int, and I will be having a size here. In the subscript, I will be having the size. It should mention with open and close square bracket. Here I'm just mentioning something like 2. That means this is an array of type integer having the elements of 2, right. So this array will store the elements 2, but the index will starts like this. It starts with 0 and 1. So 2 elements, how I will specify? I can specify this with a of 0, which is my first element, and a of 1, which is my second element, right. So it is very important. The array's index starts with 0. Okay, in the array, always the index starts with 0. So if I have 2 elements here, it will be like 0 element and 1 element. If I have 3 elements, I should say 0, 1 and then 2. And if I want to store the value here, I can store like this. Here I can store 2 and here I can store 3. Now the values in the array will be like this. The a of 0, which is the first element, is number 2, and the a of 1, which is my second element in the array, which is the index 1, will be 3. So I can represent the values like this. Now what happens in the memory system? Like see, if I say integer a, so 16 bytes of memory will be allotted. Same as 2 bytes, I'll be allotted for 16 bits, which is 2 bytes, right, and which is going to be 16 bits, and I'm going to specify that I'm going to store some 2 values, 2 elements in this 16 bits. So what happens once the value for a of 0, 2 is stored, in the rest of the memory, it tries to fill a of 1, which is 3. And next, if I want to go for another element, it will be stored like this, which is a kind of a sequential allocation. You can even store the values as a sequential allocation. So there is no wastage of memory here. That is why the concept of arrays has come in C. Now we will run the program how to assign the values like this and how to accept the values, how to print the values. Right. Now coming to our program now here. So I am going to have the array of the elements 3. Okay, so I did not have A of B. Right. And I can assign the values of my array elements with the flower brackets. So 1, 5, 8. Okay. So there are 3 elements in my array. Right. There are 3 elements in my array. So I just have assigned 3 elements 1, 5 and 8. This is how you can assign. So that means in A of 0, I'll have 1, A of 1, I'll have 5, A of 2, I'll have 8. So this is one way of assigning. The other way of assigning the values will be like this. So I can assign like this A of 0 which is equal to 1. And I can even assign A of 1 which is equal to 5. Right? A of 2 which is equal to 8. Right? So this is the another way of assigning the values into the array. I can directly give it by putting in flower brackets, by dividing with a commas, or I can even assign individually with the index. Now, how to print the arrays? So if you want to print it, you can just say printf %d, right, and comma arrays, which array you want to print. Like if you want to print A of 0, you can just print it, and this is the first element, right? First element you can say. So /t will be your tab operators, /n will be the next line breaking or line spacing operators. Now I'm going to display my 3 elements like this. One is A of 0, the other is A of 1, the another is A of 2, right? So this is the first element in my array, and this is going to be the second element in the array, and this is the third element in our array. Right? Now let us run our program and see what happens. Now see here, you can find out the first element is 1, the 5 is the second element, you can find it out, the third element is 8. So this is how you can just assign the values to your array, and you can even print it. You can even have, I said, collection of similar data types. You need not have always only the integer. You can even have an array of characters, something like this, character array of some 3, which is equal to in flower brackets. But for characters, you have to pass it with a single quotes. Okay, comma, right, and then B, comma, and then C. Okay, so I can assign like this, and I can just print the elements like this. Okay, or I can even have an array of floating values, same as float values, which is equal to something like 1.5, 2.5 and then 3.5. Okay, so I can have different type of values of similar data types. I can form that as an array type, and I can print the values. So this is one way of accepting the values and printing the values in the form of an array. Okay, so you can print it, and you can just use it A of 0, A of 1 and A of 2. Now if you want to print the entire, rather than having the 3 printf statements, I want to print it at a time. So what you have to do, you have already the for loop. So just use your for loop. So just go to your for loop, and in the for loop say I equal to 0 and still your I lesser than 3. That means 0, 1 and 2, right? So you can print 3 elements. Here you can just have integer I. This is also a type of integer. Now you can initialize it and then increment your I value, right? And then you just can print up the array elements. So you can directly print your array elements like this, right? %d. So your array is A of I. So what happens in this case? It works as a loop and it prints all the arrays at a time. So you can run this and you can just check it out. See the array elements, the heading. So the array element 1, array elements 8 and array elements 5, right? So because we have given the tab spaces here, that is why we are able to get the values like this. You can, if you want, we can just give after printing of each and every element, we can go and check it in the next line. See the array element 1, the array element 5, the array element 8. So this is how you can use it with the help of the for loop. Thank you.